Hey, how you going? My name is Lachlan Watt and music is my life. We're officially into the second month of this podcast. Thank you so much to everyone who has checked it out and helped spread the word so far. Quite enjoying getting this out there. And I'm on track to meet the modest goals that I set for myself when I started doing this thing. But if you can help me get there a little bit faster by chucking a subscribe on YouTube, a follow on Spotify, share it to your friends if you're enjoying what you're hearing, any of that stuff, it really, really, really would be appreciated a lot. Before we get into this week's episode with Youth Code, I'd like to take a moment just to tell you about Blacken Open Air. It is a very special metal festival that takes place just outside of Alice Springs in the dead center of Australia. I have a long history with the festival, going back to its very first edition back in 2013, where I just kind of flew up there on a whim, seeing that some friends' bands were playing in the desert and was like, that looks interesting. And one of the coolest decisions I've ever made. It is an amazing festival, truly, truly unique. And I'm very excited to say that in September, from the 19th to the 22nd, I am heading back this year with my band Run. We'll be joining an insane lineup that includes Uada, Earthless, Blood Duster, Frenzel Rom, Goodalax, Southeast Desert Metal, Hidden Intent, Alarum, Killat, Nicolas Cage Fighter, Diploid, Terminal Sleep, Ishua, Carcinoid, and a stack more. It is a fully loaded 3-day camping festival, and this year the Blacken team has gone and done something really special by adding a little extra gig on the 23rd, the Tuesday right after it, at Uluru, the giant, massive rock in the middle of Australia, a place I've been lucky enough to visit a few times thanks to Blacken, had some very spiritual experiences out there. It is an unbelievable place, and seeing some unbelievable music out there is going to be an incredible once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Super limited tickets available for that. They are on sale now. There is a bus that goes from the festival to the rock and back, so I recommend you go and check that out if you want to do something that you'll never get a chance to ever do again. But moving on to the actual topic of today's podcast, if you're not familiar with Youth Code, here's a little cut from their new EP, Yours with Malice.
Like a consequence, nothing changes. Rewritten passages, but you complete strangers. Was it an accident, or what you sought? I'll never pretend to be something I'm not.
I absolutely love Youth Code. I love the people in it, and I'm lucky enough to be able to say I have the entire band on the podcast this week, because the entire band is two people, my favorite couple in heavy music, vocalist SARA Taylor and synth man Ryan George. Ryan used to sing in a straight edge hardcore band called Carry On alongside Todd Jones of the legendary Nails. While Sarah cut her teeth touring, selling merch for bands like Behemoth, they revitalized a classic industrial sound for the modern age with their hardcore energy. And I just think Youth Code is a really special band, and I think these two people are really lovely. I first became friends with these guys back in 2018 when I brought Youth Code to Australia for a handful of shows. And I've hung out with them, stayed at their house for a few nights here and there whenever I've been back to LA ever since then. This is actually the first chat I've done for this podcast that wasn't in person. I used an online all-in-one podcast platform called Podcastle. It fucking sucks. It really butchered this. It was lagging. It got the whole recording out of sync. I had to spend quite a bit of time fixing it all up so it was actually consumable. Wouldn't recommend that platform, but I would recommend this chat with Sarah and Ryan from Youth Code. My name is Lachlan Watt. This is Music is My Life. Cheers. Youth Code's been pretty quiet for a while, but it's just sprung back to life this year.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think that it's sort of like it's kind of like an unfair thing to say that the band's been quiet for a while in a way, because I feel like we were touring up until the pandemic happened. Like, we got home the weekend that it shut down after doing a tour with Refused. And then a year into the pandemic, we put out a Skeleton Key with King Yosef. And then we sort of sat for that record was 4 years ago, but we only sat for a little bit of time. We were still doing shows in between. We did like a run with Health. We did shows with Kite. We did Hellfest with Nine Inch Nails. We did shows with My Chemical Romance, played Substance Festival. We were still doing things, but I think that it wasn't as fevered and consistent as it was pre-pandemic.
Yeah. I guess it has been almost a decade since the last actual Youth Code full length. That was a pure Youth Code release.
For sure, for sure, for sure. Like that, at least there were like things where there's a battle, I guess, for us between sitting ourselves down for a certain amount of time and writing a record and being on tour consistently. Like our setup has to change. We have to like take the synths out of the studio. We have to like set up the synthesizers to be like in a mode where we can tour and play with them, you know? And I think that we were so busy attempting to kind of spread gospel of like what this band was to so many different audiences. You know, Commitment comes out and we did tours with like Baroness, Chelsea Wolfe, Health, like so Deaf Heaven. We did so many different tours with different people that by the time it like finally slowed down, the pandemic happened, you know? So it was like we spent a good chunk of time, 4 years really like kind of touring this record and touring to the capacity where like, you know, all these different bands have different audiences and maybe not all of them have heard Youth Code. So I feel like we were basically spending a lot of time in the course of our career kind of being missionaries for what this sound is and like, you know, just what the band was. And when it came time for the pandemic, then there was like okay, we can't tour. There aren't offers coming in. So we have to dedicate ourselves. And we did the record with Tavis, you know? I think in the time frame of like, yeah, between Commitment to this EP, Yours with Malice, sure, it seems like a very long time, but it's not to say that we weren't active the entirety of those 9 years in between.
It always really fascinated me with Youth Code, just how you could appeal to so many different audiences and just play with all these different bands. It seems like though when you go to Europe, that's kind of like the most recent tour that was more kind of oriented towards the like a Youth Code specific audience.
I mean, I think that like with these shows coming out of the gate,
yeah, they were our shows. So.
There are shows to basically we wanted to pick cities that had like we wanted to pick cities that were like meaningful to us, like places that we had like super positive experiences, super great people around us, like tons of friends, like essentially getting back out there, putting our foot back into the pool of things, but also just like playing towards kind of target markets. Like we've always gone to Stockholm. We've always gone to Berlin. London is like a massive market, you know. The Harlem show was amazing. There were people there that I didn't even realize, you know, coming with like the Revolver magazine to get signed or like singing all the lyrics, even of like new songs. Like it was just, we wanted to kind of put our foot back out there. We haven't headlined in so long. Most of it has been support. And then coming back into the States, it was like, well, we obviously have to play LA. We haven't done a headline LA show in 9 years. And we obviously have to play New York and obviously have to play Chicago. So it's more so like we're doing these kind of small things to get our feet back in to the pool of like being active again. And I also think that it's like very much so we're doing these shows for the sake of like kind of returning to form, to like where we started in doing like smaller clubs, things of that nature. Like the last time that we had played Los Angeles, we played the Region. You know, it's a more audience oriented show to have like super intimate, you know, 300 people in the Echo, you know, than it would be to be like, oh yeah, we're back. We're going to go play like 1,000 cap room again. Like it doesn't make sense to me. I'd rather have it as like appreciation shows to people that have been our fans the whole time.
Yep. That sirens in the background, is that the kind of standard LA experience these days?
Yeah. You would know it's the same as it
was.
Yeah.
So let's talk about how Sumerian came into the picture. What happened there?
So we had played shows with My Chemical Romance in the fall of 2022. And was it 22 or 23?
I don't know.
I think it was 23.
All those years just blur.
Played some shows in the fall with my. Yeah, it literally is just like time period. It stops at 2019 and it's just starting to like kind of turn back on right now. But even that is like a question mark. We did like 4 arena shows, played at the Moda Center in Portland, and there was an A&R person there who I guess like didn't, he used to own a label and then he didn't own that label anymore. He didn't have a job at that point in time, but he saw us play and essentially said, wherever I land next, this is going to be the first band that I sign. Just complete happenstance, like happens to see us and it's just like, this band is incredible. I'm going to sign them. So I went to Japan in April of last year just to sort of like, I had to like get my head clear, really. Like I wanted to go to this festival and I needed to kind of like, I had like, we both had dealt with like a lot of personal like issues of loss and stuff around LA. And it was really hard. And so I went to Japan and I got a random DM on Instagram from some account I'd like never seen, never heard of. And it was just like, hey, do you guys have a record deal? Do you want to sign? And I, you know, admittedly, I can be like a moderately stubborn person. And I was like, I'm not going to respond to a DM on Instagram. Like, that's crazy. Like, I would just never do that. Do you want to sign? It's like, you know, it could be anything. Do you, here, click this link and get $1 million. Like, it could have been anything. So I just sort of like blew it off thinking like, whatever. Our booking agent called me and was like, hey, are you still in Japan? And I was like, yeah, I'm going to be here for a week. And he goes, you know, Sumerian are interested in talking to you guys. And I was like, whoa, that's cool. Yeah, I'll definitely entertain that conversation. At the time, it was like kind of a place where like, you know, we were perfectly content with releasing and doing things on our own. But at the same point in time, it's always nice to have somebody behind you that supports your vision and like is enthusiastic about what you do, you know. And so I got home and spoke to their A&R person. And basically like over a matter of, I think we started speaking in April and then we were signed by the end of July, beginning of August. And so it was just like within those 3 months, talking back and forth, kind of like setting up, like, what do you want to do as a band? Like, what are your goals? You know, I think that this person also, like, when he saw us play these shows, I don't think that he was familiar with any of our back catalog, wasn't familiar with anything that we had done, was just sort of like, what the fuck is this? And how can I bring it forward? You know, because he would talk to me about things and he would be like, you know, I can link you up with so-and-so if you want. And I'd be like, I already know that person, dude. Like, like, I think that maybe you need to take a moment to do like a little bit of homework on like what we've accomplished as a band so far. And this isn't me like tooting my own horn. It's just factual. We've been around since 2011, 2012. We've done a lot of things. And so he kind of came into the fold and was like, okay, cool. After a bunch of like talk and negotiation, it just seemed like the smartest thing to do. You know, that Sumerian is definitely, I think, at one point in time known specifically for a certain musical style. And I think that they, as the label has gone on, they've attempted to change and diversify their label. And I felt like it was like a very amazing thing to be a part of, like something that's trying to change what is considered broad mainstream music. It feels like an honor. Absolutely.
It's interesting that you say that the A&R guy didn't really know what Youth Code was or understand, because I had a look on the comments on their YouTube when you released the first single off this, and there was one that really stood out to me from some person that commented, I have no idea what this is, but I fucking love it.
Yeah.
Sick. Perfect.
Yeah, that's been what's happened since we started as a band, you know? Going from like playing at like skate parks with like friends and shit, like people going, I don't know what you guys are doing, but fucking rules. And just being like, cool, thank you.
So for those who are listening and are unfamiliar with Youth Code, why don't you take us back to the start? Tell us about how this band formed and what the original vision was, what you were trying to achieve with it.
I I think that both of us probably have different viewpoints on what the so-called beginning and whatnot is. For me, and I think that this is also something that we've probably talked about a billion times. I had a chip on my shoulder, as I usually do in my life, and I was working at a record store, and the manager of the record store said, "Hey, there's an employee showcase, and you can DJ because you don't have a band." And I said, "I do have a band." And I was lying. It was a complete bluff. And he goes, "Oh, you have a band?" And I went, "Yeah, it's called Youth Code. Put it on the flyer." And so I came home, and Ryan and I had just dealt with like a whole bunch of bullshit. We were basically moving into a new apartment. It was on Sunset. I came home, said that we had a band, sort of forced Ryan to write 4 songs. Didn't really know what I was doing in the band. Ryan told me that I was going to sing. I don't really know how to sing. I can fucking yell though. And so Youth Code was born. And we got on stage. We played at this place called Pear Space, which was essentially like a 50-person room at a building that's no longer there. And as soon as we got like done with our set, we got asked to play another show, like right afterwards. And it was kind of crazy, like how quickly everything spiraled. It was like we played our second show, and then like our friends in New York wanted to put out like our first 7-inch, and then Deus came knocking and they wanted to put out the LP, like we...
Yeah, it was weird. I think we just planned on playing like the one show.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be like, haha, I did it.
Like,
I played a gig, but it was so fast. And then it just started snowballing in this way where like I think when every band is starting like in the 2010s era, it's like you have a Facebook page and an Instagram page, I guess. Like those are the only things you can really do to like promote your band. And even that was like sort of like cooked in terms of like oversaturation with stuff. And, overnight it was like people downloading our demo tape in Russia. And like promoters from like massive goth festivals emailing us being like, "Do you want to play this festival?" And it was insane. Like Deus offered us a deal before the 7-inch had even come out based on just the demo tape. And then from there was like, they went from when we first went on Deus, they still hadn't made bands signed contracts yet. They were paying bands in percentage of records that you could get. And also, they were only pressing 250, I think it was the maximum numbers of copies of a record with no repress option. And when we signed, they bumped it to 500 copies, and it sold out instantly. Like all 3 colorways sold out, and they were like, "Whoa, okay." Like we were having things like Noisy and Pitchfork and all these people just like coming out of nowhere. And I think like, when I think back to like what we were trying to do as far as musically, like when we went on that stage or like when we were writing to get on that stage, my perspective of the band had always been like, I am an aggressive person. Like I love minimal synth, which was like big at the time, but I've never been a minimal person. Like I don't have the capability of it. Like I wish sometimes for sure, but like, it was kind of the answer to the popularity of like minimal synth and like witch house and like all these things that were sort of like ethereal and like very like soft sounding to an extent. When we first started dating,
we definitely didn't do that.
We didn't do, yeah, we came in with the opposite. We came in with the right hook. Like we were like, okay, we like, old aggressive EDM and like metal and hardcore. And so the response to all these people like wearing like smart outfits and playing a microchord was us being like, we're going to scream and it's going to sound fucking chaotic. And it's just gotten heavier and heavier since the inception of the band, really.
So Ryan, how much synth experience had you had before SARA sprung the band on you?
Oh, probably like 4 or 5 years.
Right.
Maybe like that. I'd been playing with synths and drum machines for a while before I met SARA. Like that's why I was able to write 4 songs in like a weekend. Like I'd been messing with that stuff for a while. I didn't really plan on doing anything with it though. Just meditative, fun to make little songs, record them, and just do whatever. I didn't really plan on doing anything. I think we sort of like, we tried to do a band before Youth Code started.
There were plans to do sort of a death rock inspired hardcore band, but
Yeah, but we were using like drum machines and stuff too. We had like guitars. And,
wasn't I supposed to play bass?
yeah, you were playing bass. This guy, John Westbrook, who played in Carry On for a while, and he sang in a band called Knife Fight that was fucking sick. And he was also in this band. He played in Life's Halt for a little while. That was another hardcore band from LA. But he was in the band, and then Josh Luce, was it?
Yeah, I think it was supposed to be Westbrook, John Luce.
It was like two
Josh
guys
Luce.
from Carry On, and it was going to be like Christian Death, but like moshier and with like drum machines.
But we had like one practice.
Yeah, and
it wasn't even a practice. It was Josh Luce coming over to the house. I don't even think Westbrook.
no, we practiced. We started some songs, and then Youth Code. The thing with Youth Code happened, and it just stopped. But I had done some stuff before too. I forgot. I don't know. I'd been doing synth shit for a while, but yeah, it wasn't like I was like, oh, I gotta go buy equipment. Like I already had shit. I already knew how to run DAWs like Ableton, and I know how MIDI works and how to program a synth. I'm a wizard, bro.
Do you have ever any interest in
Synth guy.
revisiting being a hardcore vocalist or musician, or is this just far more interesting to you?
Yes, I absolutely do, but contractually I can't do anything right now. So
Are you contracted to only doing Youth Code?
yes,
Wow.
for the time being, yes. But I'm super psyched on what's going on with Youth Code right now. So it feels good to really focus on it again. It's been like really inspiring. Playing the shows that we played, the responses, having a label behind us that like when we want something done, it can get done, and just I don't know. It just it feels good. Once like it was kind of like nerve wracking when we signed it, and like we're like, okay, we gotta finish these songs and put this EP out. Like, have no idea how it's gonna be received, and like we are selling out shows that we were booking. The records, like we've sold out like different variants already. Like immediately when we put it up for sale and like told people about it. So like now I'm like, not that like I do music for other people, but it just feels good to get positive feedback. And I'm just like, oh, fuck, this is fucking rad. When we went and played the shows, I was like, this is so fun, man. I fucking miss doing this. Like, it was dope. I mean, we weren't opening for other people. Like, it was like our own show, and it was cool.
Nice.
And, yeah.
Yeah, I meant to pre-order the record, and then when it like first got announced, and I was like, oh, I don't really have the money for it this week. I'll get it next pay or whatever. And then a week or two later, I jumped back on the Sumerian web store, and it was all sold out. And I was like, shit.
Yeah.
Good, send it to you, dog.
Yeah, we can send you a copy.
Yeah, it's cool. Like, I don't like the hardcore thing. It can wait anyways. Like, I fucking have that Peter Pan syndrome where I don't really get old. So
Yeah.
I can jump on people's heads anytime. Right now, I just want to focus on Youth Code.
Yeah, you guys barely look a day older from the last time I saw you.
Yeah.
Which is what, 2021? I don't know.
I feel 100. I feel 100 years older than the last time I saw you. I just started getting gray hair, which is fucking weird to me. I'd never had it before.
Yeah, I get one or two here or there.
Yeah, I have like a whole fucking panel underneath.
I have
It's like,
69.
yeah, Ryan is gray, but all under here is like started turning white, which is fucking weird.
So tell us about yours with Malice. It's pretty heavy.
Yeah, it's cool.
I think we came back with a fucking vengeance, really.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's I don't know, like I love everything about this record in terms of like the songwriting on Ryan's part is absolutely phenomenal. Like the way that he composed things for this record was absolutely phenomenal. And I felt like I had to like step my game up and like do a little bit of a change in comparison to like, you know, like I don't want to stray too far from things, right? Like I don't want to be somebody that like, you know, you hear that bands get successful and they change up their style like instantaneously to sort of like appease a different, broader audience. I didn't really want to go into doing this 100% different. And especially like the optics on like signing to like essentially a major and then going, we're active rock now, or like, you know, whatever, like that can never be us. So I felt like with this, it was like I wanted to deliver venom, but I also wanted to be concise about the way that, at least for me, that I did it. And Ryan's songwriting is like, I constantly find myself, you know, the other day we were listening to instrumentals of like old stuff, and I'm like, oh, dude, like, I love what you did with this part. I love what you did with that part. Fuck, like, I wish I could go back and like re-record what I did for vocals. Because now, as opposed to like just kind of being thrust into doing something I'd never done, I feel a little bit more seasoned and polished after like touring for a while and getting that experience with like learning how to utilize my voice a little bit better. But yeah, I feel like this record, you know, for years, I don't know why, like, I love the record that we did with King Yosef. I think that that record is like absolutely phenomenal.
I think it's good too.
I think that he is one of like the most talented people I've ever met in my entire life.
Hardest working too.
The hardest working person.
He pumps out so much shit, like not just under the King Yosef name, but like
he has like a whole label. He has like a whole kingdom that he's built, you know. And so like doing that record with Tavis, like I don't know why people didn't really, I mean, I guess because there's other vocals on it and it is a departure to an extent from our style of music. It wasn't considered a Youth Code record. So in the background, like we had put this out and I'm like super proud of it. I'm like, fuck, this is like some of the best songwriting or whatever. And people would go, when's the next Youth Code record?
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there going, we just fucking put something out. What are you talking about? You know, it didn't land in the same way that I guess a Youth Code record
you
would.
Think about like the Body Hacks and Cloak record. People consider that a Body record.
I think people also consider it a Hacks and Cloak record.
Yeah, it's fucking.
It's interesting to see that like it's not considered to be a release of ours because it is a collaborative attempt with somebody else, with Tavis. But anyway, I was just really tired, I think, of people going, when's the next Youth Code? What's Youth Code doing? Are Youth Code still a band? Are you guys doing anything? Meanwhile, like we had just put out a record. We were still touring. We were doing all these things. And it was like, fuck, like, is anybody paying attention? And so I knew that like when we signed with Sumerian and we had a chance to fucking like launch the biggest rock at the sun, I wanted to come in fucking swinging. And it's cool that people seem to think that this is like a heavy record. Like people are hearing what we put into it.
Yeah, I think it's cool too. When we did it, I purposely I wanted the songs to sound like they'd go on an EP more than like have album songs on there. Do you have the whole thing?
Yeah. I've listened to it 2 or 3 times.
There's one song I think on it that seems more album-ishy. What's the slower one?
Makes sense.
But I think I wanted it to be more like an EP than an album. Like I didn't want like a lot of like diversity and like parts. I didn't want it to go like super quiet here and then be dynamics. And I just wanted it to be like boom, 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 boom. With the exception of Make Sense.
I think it might be the second track on it. It's that real rhythmically, insanely heavy. Just the way the vocals bounce off the beat is just like brutal.
Yeah, I love that song.
Yeah.
I wish that would have been the second single, but it is what it is.
Yeah, but I like In Search of Tomorrow because I think the one thing that I will say about the EP, like especially like in the back end of like doing anything as a band, like when you're dealing with a label, you sit with the label and you kind of pick which songs you want to have as like the focal tracks and like the focal points. like which songs are going to be your singles. And the cool thing about this record, at least for me, was that like nobody could put their finger on what they wanted was the single, because every single song had like a different potency to it. So like we would have label meetings and it would be like, we think I'm Sorry should be the single. And then it would switch, and then it would be like, no, maybe In Search of Tomorrow should be the single. No, maybe No Consequence should be the single. Like it was constantly shifting, which I found to be like a really good omen, because I was like, fuck, like if we're having trouble picking what songs are going to be the delivery on it, kind of means that we made 5 pretty fucking solid tracks.
So how did you end up deciding on the singles?
Rock, paper, scissors. No. Like, I think that No Consequence.
No Consequence, I don't think was really. I always thought that was going to be the first single.
I thought I'm Sorry was going to be the first single because it was like the song I liked the most, but it kind of like went backwards. Like, I think the only thing that is different is the middle single, which is In Search of Tomorrow. I think that we thought maybe Wishing Well would be it.
Yeah.
But it just got the way that I think that there was like a creative vision with people at the label where everyone was like, In Search of Tomorrow has like the potential to have this like very insane video. Why don't we do this video for it? And so when they came to us with this like whole treatment for this video, it was kind of like, okay, cool. Like, this is what you guys want to do. We're down for it.
Hey, buddy, how you going?
Do you remember Lachlan? I remember Lachlan.
Yeah.
My old LA couch buddy.
Yeah.
Yep. That's your couch mate right there.
One thing though with No Consequence that I wish that we could fix is there's a track of like metal rhythmic percussion, like banging on shit that somehow we were mixing it. It was really loud in the mix. And
I probably said to take it down.
You
and
did.
Then it just got taken
and
down.
I was like, oh, it sounds sick here. And then like we were like doing like different like mix versions and like listening like which one's the best. And all of a sudden, like somehow that track got muted in the mix.
Beautiful.
It's not even there.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
And then when we put it out, and then one day I was listening in the car and I was like, fuck, my favorite part of the song is gone. It's not good. Makes me mad.
That's the power of a woman, baby.
That happened to me with my band's last EP. There's like one song that has this break where it's just like a little hi-hat fill and there's supposed to be this sick riff over the top of it. And it gets on the streaming services and shit, and I'm listening to it and it's like, hang on, where the fuck is that riff? Like, because like I think the first mix had come back and the engineer had not put it on there for some reason. And then we got that, but that like I think, well, sorry, it was the last mix, and then that was the only song that got like revised, and so I just forgot that was a separate file to everything else I had, and I hadn't uploaded it, and then had to re-upload it, and thankfully it is there now. But I guess if you've done music videos and stuff, it's too far gone to get that back.
Yeah, it's cooked.
Yeah. Back. That disappeared in the ether a million years ago.
I'm gonna throw it in a sampler from when we play live and just bunch it in.
Nice.
And then I'm gonna probably have a conniption fit about
Why?
it.
It's fucking awesome.
But it's
you don't
I
dislike it.
How do you know?
You're just fine with it not being there.
Yeah, but
and I was too, obviously, because I said, "Oh, this mix sounds fucking great."
So if it doesn't need to be there, it doesn't need to be there.
No, it's sick. I'm gonna put it back. I'm recalling all the vinyl pressings.
Yeah.
Recalling it.
So who mixed this one for you?
Samford Parker mixed it, which is fucking awesome. Like Samford and I have been friends since like 2008 or something like that. And he's always been like incredibly talented and like an incredible, like he was like the synth wizard for a lot of like Chicago black metal people. Like essentially it was like, do you need synthesizers on anything? Samford's your fucking dude. He's also like a fucking solid riff lord. Like he's just done so many different things. And he's super rad. And we had him remix I think No Animal Escapes. When we did A Place to Stand, the vinyl version of it comes with 4 different remixes, which Samford did one, Clipping did one, God Module did one, and Silent Servant did one. And yeah, rest in peace. And so when it came time to mix, we had worked with someone else, and it was a harrowing experience to like put it lightly. And so after like getting to like mix version 13, I think that I was just like,
this is not working.
It doesn't work, you know, like, and I didn't want to be rude about it because this person is like very talented at like the things that they do, but it just wasn't working for us.
Right.
And so I approached Samford and sort of was just like, listen, like, we need to get something done like extremely quick. And I think that you're the dude for the job. Like, would you be open to taking a crack at this? And he was like, yeah, for sure.
The first like,
and the first mix he sent back,
we were like, oh my God, dude, there it is.
Perfect.
It
was like, and like, you know, I had really tried super hard with the person that was like engineering it previously. Like I sent it to other friends of mine.
Well, I think the problem is when we sent it to the first person, like we had to take off like all like our EQs and compressors and shit from the tracks. But that's so much of like the character of sounds in electronic music, right?
Yeah.
Like they shape the sound so much. Like it's like part of the instrument itself. But with Samford, I was able to keep all of the shit that I had put on, all the effects and EQs and everything baked into the track itself. And he just handled it as audio and engineered it and mixed it. And it sounded like what our demo sounded like on steroids.
Yeah.
Like ready for the radio or in your car or whatever.
Yeah. And so, you know, after that first demo track, it was like, we sent it over to the label and we were like, how do you feel about this? And everyone was like, this changes everything about these mixes, you know? And so
yeah, he did a really good job.
He fucking absolutely killed it. Like the king of it things. And I'd love to continue working with him in the future, you know? I mean, I love working with Samford. I think a very important thing about Youth Code is that we are like, I don't want to say insular. Like, I don't know if that's like the proper word for it, but we are very much people that like to work and stay close to people that we consider like friends and family. And like, it's been proven through like multiple events in the history of working in this band that when we kind of step outside of that and we work with people that aren't like really like close with us or whatever, it doesn't really end up working super well. Like we're very, very like family oriented. We like to keep people with us for as long as we can. We like to keep people like family almost, you know, like you're a perfect example of this, right? Like we email a couple times, you book us, meet us, and you can stay at our house whenever you want. You know what I mean? Like, and you have stayed at our house. Like we try to keep things as a family type of unit. We're very much like a band that wants to keep people that we love close to us and be able to find like ways to have people that we love constantly being able to be in the fold with things. It's like the most comfortable thing for us. So I'm glad that it worked out with Samford.
Me too.
Like I have, you know, a long-standing friendship and history with him. So to be able to continue, and you know, same thing, like when I was doing vocals, I went to Portland and I recorded all my vocals with Tavis because I felt like the most comfortable, like working with him. Like that's my fucking dude. And he knows how to like get a performance out of me where he's not, you know, certain producers with vocals, they'll try like their tactics to basically like get in your head or affect your performance or like do certain things. Like some people will like kind of goat you into like feeling a little bit off put, or some people are just like real like, oh, do whatever you want. You know, like I've had so many different experiences recording vocals. And when I went up and recorded Skeleton Key with Tavis, we were side by side, notebook to notebook, kind of comparing things. Like when I would feel stuck on a part when we were doing Yours with Malice, I would sit there with him and be like, what do you have suggestions for how to fit words into like these parts of things. And he was like, yeah, like, you know, you could do this, you could do this. Like he, you know, and needless to say, basically, like I feel most comfortable when we keep people that are like family the closest to us, because then I think that we can be vulnerable, and I think it leads to better work being done if I don't have to like assume that like I'm being weird or that I'm being needy or that we're being too demanding. You know, like people that understand us and love us and know us as people are like more likely to gel in and do the best work.
And so what, had you just tried to go outside of your comfort zone for the first attempt at mixing?
Yeah, I think that we were going we were going with someone that was suggested by other people, and it seemed like an interesting move. And like I have no ill will or resentment towards the situation. It just didn't work. Like we were trying to go for something that was a little bit different, and that difference ended up being something that didn't really gel well with what we do. We're chaotic, you know, like when we send stems into people, we have like 30 or 40 stems of like synths that all need to like weave in and out with each other. You can't just like group stuff of ours and like just assume that these are where these things set. Like we don't work in a way where it's like guitar, like rhythm guitar, lead guitar, bass, drums. Like we're like noise at 25 seconds that comes up and then gets reverb tailed out to go till 37 seconds. Like we're fucking crazy. Like The Office has so many different synthesizers. We're utilizing so many different things that like it is really
paper everywhere.
Yeah, like it looks fucking crazy in there. There's wires, cables, like it's fucking unhinged in there.
Sounds like a mixing engineer's worst nightmare.
I think that it is, for sure. Yes. I'm sure it is. And we're so particular about stuff too, you know, like we know what we want to sound like. And it's just a matter of, you know, I wish that we were more technically proficient with like mixing technology and mixing tools. Like I've thought about going to
I think our demos sound pretty sick. They're just not.
Yeah, it's not sonically what people want to listen to. You know,
I like listening to our demos more sometimes.
But I think you also like listening to like the sound of someone screaming in a basement with one guitar playing like through a Walkman speaker or something.
I also like 80s, like 7 inches.
You like things that sound sort of like shit, but it's cool.
So speaking of demos, did you pull this EP out of like a pile of existing demos, or is it written specifically to be an EP?
Yeah.
I mean, there's parts
so much of our music is like cut up audio and shit. So like we'd be stupid to not grab pieces from other sessions that we've done, you know, kind of like start throwing stuff together. And then when stuff sounds cool, you make a song out of it. Right. It's not like we just sit down with an acoustic guitar and like work it out.
No, yeah. I mean, like it takes so much, like once we get going, like Ryan will come up with like some weird harsh sound or something, or like a drum pattern that works well, or like a bass line that seems cool. I'll come in and write like melodies over the top of things, or like, you know, we have so many different things that we fly in, and like we'll usually write, I don't know, like a minute of something. I feel like there's a lot of demos that like we get to like about a minute's worth and then pivot to like something new. And so there's a lot of material that we have, but it's a matter of like kind of stuff, cobbling it together to where it's like a cohesive song, really. And like Ryan and I both, like the taste in what I write is usually like significantly different. Mom, chill. Oh, I'm gonna text her and tell her not to call back. I feel like sorry, my mom is like notorious for calling 6 times in a row. If I send her to voicemail, she thinks that I like died instantaneously by the fact that like my phone hasn't picked up. Yeah, I think that like Ryan writes things a certain way and I write things like a completely different way. Like I'll sit here on Ableton and just like come up with weird loops of like melodies, things that I like, structures, like just 16 bar little measures of things, and kind of like save it, move on to the next one, save it, move on to the next one. And then after a while, I'll kind of compare notes with Ryan and be like, what do you think about any of this stuff? Is any of this stuff usable for youth code? Or like he'll come through and be like, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? What do you think about this? So it's like very collaborative.
And I scream if you don't like it.
Yeah, you get really mad.
Are you ever going to actually do some screaming or yelling on the youth code material yourself, Ryan?
I have in the past. I don't know. She went and recorded all our vocals in Portland, so I didn't really get a chance to do anything. But it worked. It's fine. She's a good singer. When we play live, I always do like...
Yeah, Ryan does backups live.
So maybe I'll do some stuff. I used to. I'm sure on the next... I'm sure like the next LP we do, which we're going to dive a little deeper into some songwriting stuff. There'll probably be room for me to do some stuff on there, but I don't want to sing like any full songs. I don't have any desire to do that. That's Sarah's thing. I don't want her coming over like slapping bass lines down on a synth either while we play. So
that would be so
stay
whack.
in your lane, fool.
Yeah, that would be super whack but old youth code shows, I used to have like a little setup of like playing synthesizers.
Dude, it was sick.
It's whack.
I sort of miss that.
I don't miss it.
It's cool. We could do like a big like jam.
No,
in between
that.
Jam band.
No, fuck that.
Play some reggae music.
Shut up,
like
dude. Get out of here. No.
Just kind of like chill out for a minute.
Shut up, dude.
So you said on the next LP, is there plans to be moving towards that at this rate?
Yeah, absolutely.
When can we expect that?
I mean, the EP isn't even out yet.
Yep.
Yeah, the EP hasn't even come out.
EP isn't even out yet.
Yeah,
you know?
we're gonna do an LP. It's gonna be sick.
Yeah. I mean, of course, like we're back in the swing of things, right? Like, why would we stop just after doing an EP?
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't make any sense to like come back after like having not made a record in 4 years / not made like a youth code on its own record in 9 years, to come back with just like an EP and then go, thanks for that, bye. Like, that's fucking stupid. Like, it would never be that way. It can't be like the end of the book.
Yep.
You know, like I don't know what it's going to sound like. I don't know when it's going to come out. I don't know any of that stuff, but I do know that after this, and like songwriting never stops with us. Like, it never fucking stops. Ryan's always in the office, like recording in the studio. I'm always like thinking of little things, coming up with voice notes, like putting things like in Ableton, whatever. Like, we're constantly working on music. So I feel like it absolutely, like, it would be so nonsensical to go from like, all right, sick, here's this EP. Like, especially with like the reaction that it got. Like, I don't know that I necessarily anticipated our return to be like as great as it has been, you know, like I didn't know, like we have been gone, like in terms of like not being in the public eye and like doing, you know, and the landscape of music has also changed, right? Like prior to like the pandemic, I don't think there was like as much of like a leniency on like doing things on TikTok and things of that nature, you know? So like the whole landscape has changed, but I feel like we will just keep pressing forward.
Does Youth Code have a TikTok?
Yeah. I do dances on it, bro. Check it out.
Go give it a follow.
We haven't really utilized
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know what to do with it. Like, ultimately, I feel like I am attempting to move forward with the way that this industry is moving forward. I have like my thoughts and quips about it for sure. Like, I don't think that us being musicians, like my initial thought, my buck back on it is like, I don't think content creation is a necessary role for a musician. Like, that's just my personal leaning on it. Like, I see that there's like a lot of songs that get big because they're attached to videos that have nothing to do with music, thus in turn getting the band big. Or like, you know, a band kind of coming up with like a personality or a character or something. And so then the band gets big because while they're doing a skit, it
Gimmicks.
also is like, yeah, it's like a lot of gimmick type stuff. However, I can't change the fact that this is the way that this is going. Like there's no, like me personally, I'm not going to be able to put like a stake in the ground and be like, that's enough. I'm not doing any of this stuff, because it doesn't, like, people then just walk over you and keep moving forward. So why not try to be like your own biggest champion and put in the work and do things like putting videos on TikTok. Like if that's a format that people digest, sure, then it's just another step for
Yeah,
people
there's
to
still a way you
digest
can
what
do it without being corny. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? You don't have to like fucking have like skits and shit. You can just make little like video clips and stuff. Like you there's shit you can do
Yeah.
that's not.
I just also, I don't want to
stuff.
sound like old person yells at cloud about things. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be like, these fucking kids and their TikTok. Like, that's fucking pointless. You know, it's probably like the way that people felt about me using like LimeWire and Kazaa when I was a teenager to download stuff. And they're like, you didn't go to the record store. You didn't buy, you know, like, I don't want to be like the person that yelled at me. Like, I'm all for trying to at least give like somewhat of a college try to this like new zone of things. Do I like it? No. However, like that's what you have to do, I guess, in this like current landscape of what being an artist is or means.
I guess Sumerian would have a fair bit of insight and knowledge to lean on when it comes to all of that as well.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm, you know, they do have people that we can talk to about it, but also one of the things that's so interesting about what social media is like, it is a fucking crapshoot. Nobody has like, I don't think that anybody thought Molcat Doma would like have a song attached to a video of bats hanging upside down. And, you know, this band is a Sacred Bones band. Not to say that that doesn't have massive capability, because I love the music that's on Sacred Bones. I think Molcat Doma is fucking rad. But did I think that Molcat Doma was like a fucking worldwide sensation when I listened to the band? It wasn't something that I had predicted. However, like, you know, it's a crapshoot. Their video, their audio lands on a video of bats, and all of a sudden they're playing the shrine. They're massive. They're huge, which is fucking awesome for them. But like, it's a crapshoot. You know,
Yep.
Your band could write the fucking greatest record in the world and no one could hear it because it doesn't land into the right audience. It's all like the industry has always been a crapshoot.
So now that you've got new music and you're touring again, is it going to return to the sort of previous levels of activity in terms of being on the road, or are you guys going to sort of take it steady?
Hopefully,
Yeah.
we'll play anywhere someone wants us. You know what I mean? Like,
The plan is to go pretty hard, but we gotta line everything up correctly.
I mean, you know, and I think that this isn't like a secret to people that are like watching this sort of like podcast. All like the way I think that you can be a person that just says, all right, next week I'm going on tour and I'm playing a show, but like you won't have the appropriate promotion. You won't have enough time to get the news out to everybody. You need time to essentially make sure that everybody that should knows about it. And as there's been more of an oversaturation of people playing shows and booking venues and stuff, and it's not, you know, venues aren't just utilized for concerts. Like they also have like clubs after shows and stuff where like, you know, you play from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. is when the tour package, and then afterwards they have to like book it out. So there's like a disco loadout is what they call it, where there's a club night afterwards. Like all of these things take so much time. And just due to the nature of all of it, it's like you know, I was talking to our agent in Europe and he was telling me that he needs to start planning things for beginning of 2026 or beginning of 2027 in the middle of 2025, which is nuts to me. Like I can't even know, I have a hard time knowing what I'm going to be doing in 2 weeks from now, much less what I'm doing a year and a half from now. So yeah, like in terms of Youth Code touring, I'd fucking love to consistently do it. You know, like I love where we work at the bar, but at the same point in time, would I rather be like playing a show than serving someone a vodka soda without a shadow of a doubt, you know? But it takes a lot of time to get to that level of like, okay, we've designated that we were booking holds here, doing all this stuff, and then, you know, moving on to the next spot.
So I was actually going to ask about the bar. Are you both still working at Cha Cha?
Yeah.
Are you both still on the sobriety train?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm 5 months into no alcohol, and I've noticed that half the conversations on this podcast seem to just be turning into little AA meetings.
I feel like a lot of people don't drink anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's cool.
I think for me, like the proof, like I have such,
I'm gonna get wasted after this.
like for me, I have always been back and forth about things. Like, you know, I started drinking when I was like 12, 13 years old. I don't think I stopped until I was like 20, you know? And it's weird to think about a 13-year-old like housing Jägermeister when I look at what a 13-year-old is now. Like, that's a fucking crazy thing to me to think that I was at one point in time that age drinking Jägermeister. Like, that's fucking cooked. And so I feel like I've always had what it has always boiled down to for me is that like I am a highly sensitive person, and I'm not always the most secure with myself. And drinking always felt like a way that I could mask that. Like I always felt like I might not like myself physically, but I'm so much funnier if I drink, or I'm so much more prone to like have a conversation when I drink, or I don't feel as like nervous about who I am or nervous about how I come off to people because I can always joke and always laugh, you know? And it really like for me, I would go back and forth with like, I'd be, you know, sober for 3 years and then something would happen and I would like fall off the wagon again. And it really just started to like be this thing where I noticed it specifically in pertinence to this band. And I had like an interesting conversation with my therapist about it. But one of the things that I was noticing is that I got sober and the band started like basically right. Our first show ever was like, I don't know, maybe a week and a half after I had gotten sober. And it just felt like there was this monumental push towards things. And I was like, whoa, this is cool. I can handle this. Like, I feel good about this. Like, good things are coming my way. I, like, in the middle of things, started drinking again because I felt like super confident, like, oh, I can handle this. Like, I can have a drink. And then it just seemed like, at least my perception of things, my personal trajectory was downward when I started drinking again. And I couldn't understand it. I couldn't wrap my head around it. It was just kind of like, fuck, like nothing's going my way, but like, I guess I can drink and like mask how I feel about all of this. And then I got sober again, January 1st, 2021. And everything good has started to happen again to me since getting sober. And what I was talking about with my therapist is that like, yeah, I don't know, this like might be a little too like woo-woo for a lot of people, but I think that when you're super busy clouding your brain with like feeling a different way than what you normally would, you're sort of clouding your signal out into the world. And so when I stopped drinking and all these like good things started happening and good opportunities, it almost felt like drinking was kind of clouding my perception of everything, even what I was emitting to the universe. And so when my therapist and I spoke about that, I was like, damn, you're right. Like there is a notable pattern, at least for me, that my life starts going well when I'm not drinking, when I'm not getting fucked up. So I might as well like keep it up, you know?
Yeah, I'm definitely more productive and happy without it. I just get a bit paralyzed socially still. That's a bit of the struggle.
For sure.
But I actually had Jake from Health on the podcast in the second episode, and he was talking about how intimidating your sober power was in terms of just being someone that could just get up and sing karaoke and not give a shit.
Who, me?
Apparently, you're a notorious sober karaoke person.
You're pretty good.
You know what's really weird? Is that I was not a sober karaoke person. I was like a only blacked out karaoke person. And I think on tour with Health, John loves going to do karaoke. And I was like, this is fun. I'm with friends. I know these songs. Yeah, whatever.
Plus, we're in another country.
Yeah, we're in a different country. I don't have to like
sing
worry about any of it. Like, yeah, fuck it, why not? But like, I fucking hate it. It's definitely something that like when I'm drunk seems like a way better idea than it does like when I'm sober. Also, like, I don't know, I feel like it's like really, I can do it, but I don't like doing it, you know?
So you have spent a bunch of time on the road with Health. These guys are pretty good friends of yours, yeah?
Yeah.
They're all right.
We just talked to Jake yesterday.
They're all right. Yeah, they're okay.
Yeah, they're cool. They let us use their practice space before we went to Europe. It was tight.
Nice. What's the first memory that comes to mind if I ask what's your favorite story of touring with Health?
I don't know if I can tell it.
Fair enough.
I have a lot of very good moments with them. Like a lot of very good moments with them. I have a lot of hilarious, a lot of like fucked up. Like the first tour we did with Health, I was still drinking, you know what I mean? So there were a lot of moments where it was just like, bleh, you know? And then the second tour we did with them, I didn't drink anymore. And, but like, it didn't really stop me from like wanting to still have fun. And I know that those dudes love fun, or at least John really loves fun.
Yeah, the other guys,
Jake doesn't
chill.
like anything
Yeah.
fun. Yeah. So we had like, you know, there were like moments on the first tour where we were ending up at like, didn't we go to like some private party at a club? There were crazy things that we like would just get into because John doesn't care. Like
he's also like not a like, oh, we're not playing, like I need downtime.
Yeah.
Like he's like, go do everything all the time.
Yeah.
When we were touring Europe with them, we were playing in Austria, I believe. I think it was Austria. We played on a boat. Do you remember when we played on the boat?
Yeah. But he has to have local cuisine.
Yeah, local cuisine in every city, which is hilarious. So he has to try he has to try like everything that's the local cuisine. But we were in Austria and I found out from the promoter that Scooter was playing the same night that we were. And I was like, fuck, I want to go see Scooter so fucking bad. And they were like, you can go and see him if you want to see him, but it's during Health set. And I was like, nah, dude, I sing Innocence with them, so I'm not going to like leave him hanging. Maybe I'll be able to see Scooter at a different point in time. So we find out from the promoter later that Scooter is throwing a rave after his performance. And so it's like in the stadium where he played. So we're like, fuck it, yeah, let's go to the rave. So John, Ryan, Beej, myself, and our tour manager like bailed. I think Jake went back to the hotel.
Yeah,
but we all went to this rave and we're like listening to like Better Off Alone. Like it's all like the Eurodance, like super hits, Darude Sandstorm, like Have You Ever Been Mellow? Like all the fucking super club bangers are just mashed over this PA. And I'm like, fucking let's go. We like get into like the fucking thick of the rave, like we're dancing, like losing it. I was like just filming people that were like obviously gurning out super hard on E. Like I was just like, this is crazy right now. We're at a rave outdoors at a outdoor amphitheater in Austria. You know, there's like people that are like going like this, trying to like fit a corn dog into their mouth. Like it was just insane, you know? Like it was fucking incredible. Like we have so many, but that's like, that one seems mellow compared to like some of the other stories we have. Like we've done so much shit with them. I feel like what always strikes me, something that I find to be like very cute, is there used to be a bar here in Los Angeles called The Lash. And I remember that we went to The Lash. This is like right when it first opened. And Jake and John were at The Lash. I think it might have been before Jake got sober. And they were like, "What's up? Super stoked on what you guys are." Like they were so nice and so welcoming. Yeah. I met them for the first time at The Lash.
Huh.
And we were sitting there being like, "Hey, what's up? Like, how are you?" Like,
Is that the night I almost threw Zed out the window?
yes, it is the night that you almost threw Zed out the window. But they were just like so cool to us, like, and so excited and so welcoming and so great. And I feel like that's always kind of been the rapport we've had with them. Like they've been super supportive. They've been really rad. I mean, like doing Innocence with them was fucking awesome. Like they're cool.
Oh yeah. I want to know more about Ryan nearly throwing someone out of a window.
No, you don't.
Yeah. Zed, this kid said he didn't like Madball. And he told me he thought the Antidote 7-inch was better. So I told him I was going to throw it out the window. That's about it.
Hardcore pride, baby.
Hell yeah. You can fucking get it, dude. Who doesn't like Madball?
I'm not a big Madball fan. Dude, set it off. All right, sick. They've got tracks. I'm not talking
Hell
shit.
yeah, dude.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't catch me sitting through a whole record of it.
Yeah, like for me, I feel like
Throw fucking the computer through the window right now.
the computer just goes flying up.
I will not tolerate this disrespect.
Yeah. You know what's funny is that I was having a conversation with Davis last night. We were talking on the phone, and we were just talking about something in relation to hardcore. And Davis went, "I just want to tell you, in case you didn't already know this, metal's way better." I was like, "Don't let Ryan hear you make that statement, dude." I was like, "If Ryan," he goes, "Listen, hardcore's cool and all, but like, have you ever heard Pantera?" And I was like dying laughing. I was like, "If Ryan hears you, this phone is getting thrown out the fucking window for sure with this." Me, I'm like over here listening to fucking Chasing Status and like fucking like I'm just like in a complete, I don't have like a take on anything either way. I'm just like sitting here being like, "Oh, cool, this is what the Anima record sounds like. Fucking awesome. I love this shit." Like listening to production value for like electronica. I don't have the time to listen to whether metal or hardcore is better. I'm trying to like up my game in terms of like how synths sound.
So is that more what your listening habits are these days?
Yeah, I basically only listen to electronica these days. I listen to like a lot of old drum and bass, newer drum and bass, but like kind of like maybe even like dubstep leaning drum and bass. Some of it, like the sound design and production on a lot of it, I find to be like so intriguing. And especially like when it comes to like what we do, we only use synthesizers. So it feels like going to school a little bit, right? Like I'm sitting here being like, how the fuck did this person pan this synth? And by the time like the sound hits to the other side, the waveform has deteriorated into like a completely different thing. I'm always asking Ryan, like, how does this person make this sound? What is this from? Is this modular? Do you think this is soft synth? What, like, I consistently have been listening to like electronica and drum and bass and just trying to like study really and apply things that I learn or things that I hear to like stuff that we do, you know? It feels refreshing to me. I don't know. Like, I'm definitely not, I haven't been listening to guitar related music. I think Ryan does, but I just listen to electronica really. And pop, lots of pop.
Yeah, you're a popper.
What have you been listening to lately, Ryan?
Who, me?
Yeah.
A lot of like late 90s, early 2000 like emo stuff. Like, but like I've been diving back into like, I guess maybe like you'd call it like early screamo. I don't know.
One
shit
guy
like that.
crying in a basement with a distorted guitar.
Yeah, like stuff that's more like DC style. I like that. There's a band called Lincoln that put out one record that I really fucking dig.
What's the other record you were listening to? Alshian Mia or something?
I can't pronounce it. You're gonna help me.
I
also like this band called Speedway from Stockholm. They just put out a hardcore record. It's fucking super good.
Where is that? Oh, Alshian Maya.
Alshian Maya.
Yeah, I don't know.
They have.
He listens to a guy crying over a distorted guitar. That's what he listens to.
Yeah, they have 652 monthly listeners, and I'm one of them.
Yeah.
It's fucking good. I love it. But I don't know, stuff like that. I like Rainer Maria. I've been just listening to a lot of like old, like early emo stuff.
Who's that one lady you listen to?
Like the
Vashti.
stuff. Oh yeah, I always listen to folk music, and then I listen to Youth of Today a lot, all the time. It's like my favorite band of all time. I like the new Nails record. I like I don't know, whatever my friends are doing, I'm usually pretty into and give it a few spins. Shit like that. I don't know, man. There's a young band from around here called Start Today, and they wear like bold shirts over hooded sweatshirts and X up and wear camo shorts. I like them. I like shit like that. I like people doing shit that I already like. I like bands that do jumps.
I listened to the Todd Jones Hardlaw podcast the other month, and it was quite interesting hearing the history of Carry On.
Oh yeah. I haven't listened to it. I got mobbed by a few people about it, but I haven't listened to it yet.
You think there's demand for that band to come back?
Yes, absolutely, but it won't happen.
Yep.
Yeah, it won't happen. But yeah.
You know what I like about that?
What?
It reminds me about how Morrissey would never get back together with the Smiths.
Yeah.
Because it was like the Smiths was the time and place. And if I want to, I can play those songs on my own, but I don't really want to, or maybe he does want to sometimes. He actually does play a lot of Smiths songs live, but he doesn't want to get back together with the Smiths. And I kind of think that's like, there's something about just putting your fucking foot down on saying there's so many fucking bands that like, this is our final show. And it's like a fucking marketing ploy so that they can just get back together in like 5-10 years. And like, it's just like, why do that to your audience? Why would you like create that sort of demand that this is the last time you're going to be able to see me? And then go, just kidding. You're basically telling everyone, I don't care. I just want your money.
Yeah.
Like, and I think it's like super, I don't really care too much for reunions, honestly. Like for me, I think there was a point when people started doing it that I thought was cool. Like if you didn't get a chance to see this band, and that, like, I think, you know, it's probably cool for a lot of people if they got to see Orchid and shit. But I just think that like the cash grab behind reuniting just feels like a fuck you to fans, really. That's what it feels like to me. But, you know, I'm not pointing my finger at anyone. You know, do what you want to do. Like, it doesn't fucking matter to me. If you decide that you don't want to play music, you take a 5-year break and then you do want to play music again, cool. Fucking rad. But it just feels weird sometimes that bands that were active will just go, this is our final show, and only disappear for like 2, 3, 4 years and then come back and say that they're back again. Like, well, just take a little bit of a break.
It was so disappointing when Slayer started announcing shows again. And I guess for some people it'd be cool as fuck, but when, as you said, when you've done that big song and dance and hey, we're doing our final world tour and our final shows and people are flying from all around the world and stuff to see the final show, and then a year and a half later they're back playing festivals, and you're just like, that's so lame.
Yeah, it's a bummer to me. And I feel like there is a lot of like I don't know. I get that it's like hard to make money as a musician in this day and age, like especially with like all the technology and all these things that kind of come in, and like it's very fucking difficult. Musicians have like never really been respected. You know what I mean? Like a Hollywood actor gets like $8 million for like doing a film. Musicians are kind of told like, hey, do you want to add music that creates the vibe of this film, but you can just get credits for it? Like you'll get exposure for it. It just doesn't feel like anybody's really ever taken musicians seriously, and people have like fucked them forever. So, you know, any way that you can make it work for yourself, cool. But there's a lot of bands that I don't necessarily think they're fucking hurting for money, and like doing that to their fan base, I think it's a bummer. That's all.
How do you guys, like, you must go all right for money being only a two-piece, and I assume like self-managed must be a pretty sustainable way of operating things.
No, we both still have day jobs.
Yeah, but we also weren't
Yeah.
active for a while.
Yeah, but also at the same point in time, living in
Living in
Los
LA
Angeles
is
is
so
fucking
expensive.
crazy. Like being a musician, especially knowing that, like, you know, if you're an independent musician, you know, fingers crossed, you can launch a single or do something that creates like 100% of the revenue to you. I feel like most of the time, it's not necessarily easy to get stuff out there promo wise, just doing it on your own, because it's so oversaturated. So, like, you know, there are ways in which, yeah, it's cool when we do shows because it is the two of us and there's not like a big crew or a bunch of things, but also our rent to live in a place that like, and our rent by scale is relatively cheap considering what the same space would be for other places. But like our overhead, not touring, which touring costs more money for us, is somewhere around like, I don't know, $7,000 a month ultimately.
Yeah.
You have like a car payment, gas, cell phone bills, Wi-Fi. Our rent is $4,000 a month. You know what I mean? Like living in Los Angeles is not easy. It's not nearly what it was when I was younger. That's for sure. Like this neighborhood, you used to be able to get a one-bedroom apartment for like $500. Now you're lucky if you find something for $1,800 that's a one-bedroom. And none of the people like take care of the properties if they have like cheap rent. That's kind of like, we want people to move out to find better places. It's fucked. I mean, you look at the fires, right? The fires happened here. All these people lost their homes. And what happened? Landlords were jacking the rent up 20% and doing illegal stuff to make more of a profit. You know, living in Los Angeles is not easy by any stretch of the means, especially if you want to live with any semblance of comfort. You know, you were at our last apartment. We lived in a small square one bedroom essentially, and there was mold in that apartment. There was like, it was fucked. You know, the laminate in the kitchen was like peeling up. Like it was cooked, but it was like what we could afford and what we could do. When we finally like both had jobs that were paying relatively steady, then we could think about, okay, let's move into somewhere that like we can actually live. You know, I don't want to like, you know, at my age, I don't want to have to suffer anymore just because I like being creative. I don't want to live in a studio apartment with all of my things taped up around me. So like financially, sure, does the band not have management, not have a big crew, all this stuff, does it do well? Yeah, but we're a small band, you know? And like anytime that we take off, we have to pay someone to watch the dog. We also have to make sure that we're making X amount of money for our overhead on things. I'm not complaining. I fucking love what we do. I love it 100%. But like, yeah, we have to think things through. You know, the only reason that I was able to like even go on that semblance of like a vacation when I went to Japan before the band got signed is because I used, I think it was 10 years worth of frequent flyer miles. And like, it was a birthday gift essentially to be able to afford my hotel. Like, I don't fucking have money, you know?
What was the experience of the fires like for you two?
No, I mean, it's sad, right? We knew people that lost their homes, but we live so far away from the fires that it didn't really affect us in terms of safety or feeling unsafe. Like downtown Los Angeles, MacArthur Park area is very, very far removed from the Hollywood Hills. It's very far removed from like the Palisades. It's removed from Altadena, where like the fires were. But I think, it was, I have friends that live in all those areas. So trying to check in on your friends and looking at their homes and seeing if, like, people that I know were not going to be able to have someplace. We knew people that everything burned down, like it was fucked up. But as far as like personal, like how did it affect us personally? It like didn't really.
Just like watched like the apps that showed where the fire was a bunch. Checked in on people.
I was like,
you could really do.
Yeah, I was concerned that the Palisades fire, there was talk of it spreading through to Westwood, and Westwood is relatively close to my mom's house. So I was like watching the apps to make sure that my mom didn't have to evacuate, but ultimately, like, we're very far removed from any of that stuff. And downtown, you would have to like burn through a bunch of concrete and shit before, like there is nothing really nature related. Every year, like down by MacArthur Park Lake, people shoot 4th of July fireworks like off crazy, and nothing's caught fire yet. So
just palm trees.
Yeah.
Whatever.
All right. On that positive note, maybe we think about wrapping this one up. Unless there's anything else that we haven't covered that you guys want to talk about.
No.
So yeah, by the time this comes out, the EP will be out. So congratulations on the release, and I hope it all goes great for you.
Thank you very much. Hopefully we see you sooner than later.
Yeah.
In real life.
Well, I'll talk to you more once we get this, but I've got something in the works potentially.
Let's go, baby.
Let's do it.
All right. Sick.
Bronx City, dude.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
That is one of the. That tattoo is still fucking there somehow. It's not staying very well, but it's still got the Gronk.
Gronk?
Is it still there?
I got one. I got a Gronk too.
I don't know if you can see it. There we go. Gronk.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, dude.
I just got to touch that O and the G.
Yeah, it definitely needs a touch up, so we'll sort it out when you're back in Australia.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
But great to see you guys.
Good to see you too.
I'll send you an email.
Perfect.
Yeah. Later,
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Music Is My Life. This podcast is self-produced by me, Lachlan Watt. I'd like to thank Audio Technica Australia for providing the high-quality equipment that has made this possible, as well as Patrick Galvin at Hollowbone Studio for the design. The killer theme music that you are currently hearing was written by the legends TJ Cowgill and Sam Saljuki. Catch you in the next episode.